Godfather. I joined YouTube back in 2009 because I believe in America. I believe in Google. And I believe the opportunity they have given me to spread my knowledge to the entire world. But Godfather, after raising my YouTube page like my child, there are trolls trolling my YouTube page every day. They dislike my video for no reason. They put nasty comments on my page. I want to hurt them, Godfather. I want revenge. And I have an idea that I want to speak to you in your ears. Godfather, you must kill them. They must die today. That I cannot do, because the troll only disliked your video and only commented on your video. Now if they threatened your life and you were my friend, then they would fear you. But let's face it, you never wanted my friendship in the first place. When was the last time you invited me to your home for a cup of coffee? When was the last time you invited me for dinner at your home? Even though my wife is the godmother to your only child. And now you come here on the day my daughter is getting married and you want me to kill some trolls. Then I shall pay you anything you like, Godfather. Why do you have to disrespect me like this, huh? What did I ever do to deserve this? Get Michael in here.
So was that an Oscar-worthy performance or what? That's right, we're going to do Marlon Brando's horoscope today. It's going to be a pretty unique horoscope. Now, if you're new to my channel and you're trying to be an actor, or you're trying to go into the entertainment industry, maybe you should watch this to see if you have a similar planetary alignment like him that allows you to be successful in this industry. Okay, so let's get started. So Marlon Brando was born on April 3rd, 1924 in Omaha, Nebraska, in really late that night at around 11 o'clock. Okay, and so if you bring his chart up, you see that he is a Scorpio ascendant, okay, with Jupiter in the ascendant in the rising sign, the first house. And then you see Mars in the second house in Sagittarius. Then you have your Ketu, the south node of the moon, in the fourth house. And then you have Sun and Moon in the fifth house in Pisces. You have Mercury in Aries in the sixth house. You have Venus in Taurus in the seventh house. And then you have Rahu in the 10th house in the sign of Leo. And you have exalted Saturn in the 12th house in the sign of Libra. Okay, so this is his main birth chart. So first, let's take care of his family background. He had a very troubled childhood, including the fact that he had a troubled relationship with his mother and father, especially father. Okay, so let's look at that. Why is it's giving this kind of a relationship? Well, first of all, Rahu, the arch enemy of the sun, it's sitting in the house of father, which is the 10th house, in the sign of father, which is Leo. Okay, so obviously it created a lot of battling between him and his father. And I think at the age of 11, the father left him. I believe this is, I just briefly know this. Okay, and Rahu is also aspecting the second house of family. Okay, so second house represents your family environments. Rahu aspecting it already gives that troublesome environment. And then if you look why he had such a troubled family life, is, first of all, Mars, the aggressive planet, okay, is sitting in the second house of family life, family environment, which could be your family before marriage or after marriage, both. Then you have Saturn looking at the second house of family, and Mars is sitting there. So again, a war zone is being created by this alignment. Okay. Now, why did he? Well, first of all, let's look at his education. Why he kept trying and trying and trying. He went to like army, military academy. He went to all these acting school, but again, he would end up being flunked out, or he would get kicked out of these schools. So why is it that is happening? Well, first of all, remember, Jupiter in the ascendant is supposed to give education. It's supposed to give, average education. No matter what, it'll bring you up in educational academic life. Okay, and plus, Moon and Sun are sitting in the sign of Pisces, Jupiter, while Jupiter is looking at them. Okay, so why is it that his education was ruined? Now, even though Jupiter, it's okay placed, it's an okay dignity, so he should have at least gotten him to at least a city college. He couldn't. But there's something very unique happening in his horoscope, which is I'll be discussing for the first time with you guys. This horoscope has something called Pap Kartari Dosh. What is Pap Kartari Dosh? Well, that's what happens in this alignment is when there are two malefic planets on either side of the ascendant. So when there's two malefic planets on either side of the ascendant, it destroys the environment, especially the self-esteem of the person. It destroys their their family environment, but more so, it destroys the planet quality of the planet that sits there. Okay, so in their case, Jupiter is sitting in the ascendant, and both sides of Jupiter has malefic planets, and they are absolute malefic planets, Saturn and Mars, and they are creating this Pap Kartari Dosh, meaning that they're being cut by a sword. Whatever planet is sitting there is going to be cut by a sword. If there was no planet there, they would be disturbing the majority of the life of the native. Okay, that at least up to their first, or like till 42 years of age, I believe. Until then, they will really suffer, all the hurdles of the family life. So that's why the qualities of Jupiter were destroyed. So even though Jupiter is looking at Sun and Moon, where he should be giving a good relationship to the parents, it's not. So this is something that you shouldn't always, you should take a note of, actually. Okay. However, what about his marriage? He had 3 marriages, and then again, you see Jupiter and Venus in a very good position. Jupiter is looking at the marriage, house of marriage, blessing the house of marriage. Venus is sitting in its own sign, looking at Jupiter. And so what happened with his marriage? Well, again, Pap Kartari Dosh. They absolutely took away the good qualities of, his married life. However, we're going to do something different here. Okay, in order to really look at this person's married life, we're going to have to look at their divisional chart, meaning that we're going to have to surgically open their 9th house, which is a 9th harmonic chart, where you judge the dignity of the planets, one, and how their married life will be. Okay, so let's look at that. Now, you see what is happening in this Namansha chart. First of all, the Lord of the 7th house, which is Mars, is sitting in the 2nd house. Okay, what does that mean? That means nothing to you, right? Okay. The 7th house Lord is 8th from itself, meaning if you were to go clockwise from the 7th house, where you see the sign of Aries, and you count places where Mars is, and it rules the sign of Aries, it's 8 places away from itself, and 8th house or 8th place becomes the house of death. Okay, in a way. So that is one factor as to troubled marriage. Second, Saturn is looking at Venus in the 5th house. where it's doing two things, making the person very creative, but also, since Venus is a signifactor of marriage and wife in a man's chart, it destroys the positive quality of that aspect. Okay. Third, Ketu, the south node of the moon, that wants nothing to do with marriage, is aspecting the house of marriage from its fifth aspect. And look at this. 3 malefic planets are aspecting Venus, the signifactor of wife and marriage, in his Nimansha chart, the chart that deals with marriage. So Rahu is looking at it from the 9th aspect, Mars is looking at it from the 4th aspect, Saturn is looking at it from the 3rd aspect. I mean, talk about being hemmed by aspects. Now, how did he become an actor? Well, from his birth chart, as you can see, and I made this video on achieving fame. Okay, I've made a video on achieving fame through astrology where I told you whenever you have Venus in the 5th, 7th, or 10th house, or Rahu in the 5th, 7th, or 10th house, it gives inclination towards getting mass fame, depending upon how hard you work towards getting that kind of a fame. And he has Venus in the 7th house of mass, ruling the masses, in its own sign of Taurus. And Rahu is in the 10th house, in the sign of Leo, which is about showing off, about glorifying everything. Okay. However, Rahu would have done much better if it was in the Venus sign, because Rahu is still in the enemy sign. So even though it gives mass fame, it also hurts the self-esteem of a person. And another reason why he went towards the entertainment industry, look at that. 10th house is ruled by who? Leo. Who's the lord of Leo? Sun. Where is Sun placed? In the 5th house of cinema, entertainment, performing arts. Now, another thing that creates a low self-esteem, or somebody who doesn't have a leadership quality and they always doubt themselves, is when you have Sun and Moon together in one house, and especially very closely conjunct, because Moon is water, Sun is fire, and they both kind of burn each other out, creating a steam. This is how low self-esteem is also seen. Now, another thing to notice is that his Mercury is being aspected by Saturn and Rahu. And Mercury, through the degrees, is sitting in the sign of Ketu. I mean, not in the sign of Ketu, the nakshatra of Ketu. Okay. So first two things that I see is obviously that he was very intelligent, logical thinking he could do. He knew what and how and where to do what. But also it kind of gave him inclinations towards being like maybe bisexual. And we all know he was a bit of bisexual. So this is how you can see it, because I made the video on this and what kind of Ketu plays a important part, including Saturn and Mercury, because they are neutered planets. They can swing either ways. Okay. But in my conclusion of studying his chart, including his D10 chart, which I didn't show because it's going to take too long, but I think he would have made more money being a salesman than actually an actor. That's what I think. He was a very good salesman. He could, convince people on doing something and selling something. So guys, this was my analysis on Marlon Brando's horoscope. Hope you enjoyed it. Now if you're new to my channel, subscribe above, because I'm going to be bringing a lot more of this cool stuff to you guys. And if you want to know more about astrology, check out my link below to my website. Alright, otherwise I'm going to see you tomorrow. Bye bye.